you mentioned earlier a little bit about the family, but I was wondering if you could go into the role of women in the Klan organizations a little bit more. I know you mentioned Sybil Jones and her encouragement of women to tell their husbands, be a real man and join the Klan, and only men could join the Klan. But then at the same time, how do you think they reconcile that sexism, like the discrimination against themselves, but then also their support of discrimination against another group of people?
Yeah, those are really important, fascinating questions, I think. Sybil Jones, who you mentioned, is Bob Jones's wife. She appeared at most rallies and was a very fiery speaker. And she would say exactly what you're describing, where she would harangue women to say, if your husband was a real man, he would be a committed Klansman. And really try to create this kind of dynamic where within the family it would be really moving towards militance and moving towards commitment to the Klan. That was an interesting dynamic, certainly, because the Klan itself, not surprisingly, is an incredibly patriarchal organization. So the role of women within the Klan was rhetorically valued. So, and in a lot of ways, the history of white supremacy is largely about the preservation of the purity of white womanhood, these kinds of things. So, putting women on a pedestal was something the Klan would do all the time. And so they would involve women and talk about how they were the most valued part of the larger Klan family. But certainly not in a way that would resonate at all with breaking down that sense of patriarchy and creating any agency for these women politically or otherwise. And I think, the types of people it was recruiting and the types of families it was recruiting, I certainly didn't come across any instance where the women involved were conscious of the contradiction you describe, which is a contradiction that makes perfect sense in a broader context. But in that context, they certainly weren't articulating it as, sort of the subordination of women and the subordination of African Americans as having this kind of direct parallel. And certainly you could make that critique, but within these families it wasn't really part of the calculus that was going on at the time.